Hi, this is Vaibhav Purandare here, and my new video is about the demolition of the temple of Kashi or Banaras. There has been talk about archaeological evidence existing about the demolition of the temple of Kashi by Aurangzeb, or more specifically, on Aurangzeb's orders. But is there any literary evidence in that regard? Is there any contemporary literary evidence in that regard? When we talk of the archaeological evidence and the epigraphic evidence, we often refer to the wall that has been left behind by the destroyers of the temple of Kashi to indicate to followers of the Hindu faith that Islam was the dominant religion, and that wall would be some sort of reminder that they were the inferior ones, the Hindus were the inferior ones, and the Islamic rulers ruled supreme over them. Now, why is literary evidence important? It's important because if you look at the debate that took shape over the issue of Ayodhya in particular, you will see that plenty of archaeological evidence and epigraphic evidence was presented. And one of the arguments made was, well, there's a lot of archaeological evidence, there's a lot of epigraphic evidence, but what about literary evidence and what about contemporary literary evidence? Now, the diary of Babur or Babur's memoirs talk about his entry into Ayodhya on the 2nd of April 1528. And then there are several pages of that diary that go missing after that date. And the diary then resumes in September 1528, and that is after Babur has already left Ayodhya. Now, how those pages went missing is a mystery in itself, but those pages do not exist. And the argument made was that there is no contemporary literary evidence. Now, is there any contemporary literary evidence to indicate that indeed it was Aurangzeb who ordered the demolition of the Kashi temple of Banaras? The truth is that there is. But there are two official records of Aurangzeb's rule as the Mughal emperor. One is the Alamgir Nama. This Alamgir Nama was written by a Mughal official appointed by Aurangzeb. His name was Mirza Muhammad Kazim. He wrote about the first 10 years of Aurangzeb's rule as the Mughal emperor. That is from 1658 onwards to 1668-1669. And the other document is about the remaining years of Aurangzeb's rule, which is from 1668-69 onwards up until Aurangzeb's death in 1707. So that covers almost 5 full decades. Now, while the record of the first the first decade is called Alamgir Nama and has been written by Mirza Muhammad Kazim, the second part of that record has been written by somebody called Shakil Mustafa Khan. That record is titled the Masire Alamgiri. That is part 2 of Aurangzeb's official record. Who was Shakil Mustafa Khan? Now, Shakil Mustafa Khan was an official in the Mughal court. He was appointed to write the official Mughal record of Aurangzeb's rule by one of Aurangzeb's closest people. That was his last secretary, Inayatullah Khan Kashmiri. Now, Inayatullah Khan Kashmiri was not only Aurangzeb's last secretary, but he was his favorite disciple. And he was the man whom Aurangzeb trusted the most when it came to matters of religious policy and matters of the Islamic faith. So what this fellow did, Inayatullah Khan Kashmiri did, was he handed over all the documents of Aurangzeb's rule to Shakil Mustafa Khan. These were scattered documents. Some were called the Akbarat. The Akbarat is a collection of reports obtained from Mughal officials across Mughal India. And there are other local reports coming in, and then there are court records which have been written. The entire archival material was placed at Saki Mustad Khan's command, at his disposal, by this fellow Kashmiri, Inayatullah Khan Kashmiri, so that he could write a coherent and chronological kind of account of Aurangzeb's rule as emperor. So it is with Saki Mustad Khan's account that we are dealing with when it comes to the Kashi temple. Saki Mustad Khan writes in his Masire Alamgiri that in the year 1669, Aurangzeb put out a farman. A farman is an order which specifically referred to Kashi or Banaras. That order said that Aurangzeb, Alamgir, the emperor, has noticed that there are a lot of Brahmin priests in Banaras or Kashi who are spreading a lot of untruths and teaching false textbooks. And there is idol worship going on there, and plenty of idols being worshipped there. And the emperor wants to put a stop to all this. So he has ordered his officials to firstly stop these Brahmins from teaching these false textbooks. He has ordered them to stop idol worship. He has ordered them to stop public worship in these places. And he has ordered the demolition of the temples there. Now, in this particular order, which is issued at the beginning of 1669, Aurangzeb talks not only about Banaras, he also talks about Multan, he talks about a lot of other places, but his focus is a great deal on Kashi or Banaras and about the priests there, the books that are being taught there. Now, there is repeated reference to false textbooks. Now, what do they mean by false textbooks? What do Aurangzeb's officials mean by false textbooks? They are referring here to the holy books of the Hindu faith. So wherever Hindu religious scriptures are taught, they are calling them the false textbooks. And they describe the Islamic faith as genuine and the Hindu faith as not genuine or false. And books about the Hindu faith are, according to them, false textbooks. So that's the reference over there. And it talks about Aurangzeb having ordered the destruction of temples in Kashi, Multan and other places. Now, immediately after this particular order of farman or command, just months after that, and there is a specific date for that, and the date is important, it's the 2nd of September 1669. On this day, there's a record in the Mughal court. The record specifically states that news has just reached this court that on the command of Emperor Alamgir Aurangzeb, his officials have razed the temple of Kashi down to the ground. Now, this is a specific reference. This specifically talks about the main temple in Kashi, and this gives an exact date that on the 2nd of September 1669, news has reached this court that officials have carried out on Aurangzeb's orders the destruction of the temple of Kashi or Banaras. So there are two commands, two orders, one after the other. One talking about the overall systems of faith in Banaras and how it's all unhealthy for the Islamic faith and how all these temples need to go. And the second is specifically a receipt of information, the receiving of information that the temple of Kashi has been demolished on the orders of Aurangzeb. It's written in the official Mughal record. So the official Mughal record of Aurangzeb's rule itself testifies to the fact that Aurangzeb ordered the temple of Kashi to be demolished. Now, of course, there is the fact that Aurangzeb considered Hinduism to be not the right faith and Islam to be the only faith, and that is why he wanted the temple demolished. But there is another reason why he wants the temple of Kashi in particular to be demolished. the main temple of Kashi. Why? What's the reason? The reason is very clear, that Kashi is one of the holiest places as far as Hinduism is concerned, as far as Hindu religious belief is concerned. Kashi is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas of Lord Shiva. Now, a Jyotirlinga is a place. There are 12 places across India where Lord Shiva is said to have cast his celestial beam of light, and Kashi is one of those places. And the Jyotirlinga at Kashi is supposed to be the most important of the 12 Jyotirlingas across India. Now, if you look at Jyotirlingas, there's one at Triambak near Nasik in Maharashtra. There's one at Rameshwar in the south, and there are plenty of them across the country, 12 of them specifically. But Kashi is supposed to be the most important Jyotirlinga, and that is why Aurangzeb targets it. So it is clear from the contemporary evidence, there is literal evidence, there's literary evidence, and this evidence is very much a part of the Mughal official record that the temple of Kashi was demolished on the orders of Emperor Aurangzeb, and the account, like we have seen, is of 2nd September 1669. The Mughals themselves have recorded that. Now, there's another interesting thing here, that while the reference to Kashi is in these two orders, and the specific report about the destruction is very crisp, it's almost a 2-3 line report, that news has reached this court that the temple has been demolished and on the emperor's orders and all of that. Where Mathura is concerned, on the other hand, and where Krishna's birthplace is concerned, Lord Krishna's birthplace is concerned, the report which is in the Mughal official record is far more detailed, and it's a little bit flowery. The language is a little bit flowery, and I'm going to talk about that particular record on the raising of the Krishna temple of Mathura in the very next YouTube video that I'll be uploading after this video. I'll upload it very soon, so do look out for that particular video, because like I said, while the mention of Kashi is a little crisp, this one is a little more detailed on Mathura, and it talks about various other things, about what was done to the idols and all of that. So I'm going to talk about that in the next video that I upload, which I will upload very soon. So do look at that particular video as well. And if you like this video, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.